The lead candidate for in the election of Scotland in Fife. I think in the kind of situation that we find ourselves in today, I mean 2016, and we're faced with food banks, we've got sanctions. Sanctions is probably the most feared word in Britain right now. It's not ISIS or Trident or anything like that. It's sanctions. People are living with the fear of sanctions every day in life. And if they do, then they're on the dreaded food banks. I mean, imagine people in this day and age having to survive, having to feed their kids for food banks. It's an absolute disgrace. So we're totally and unequivocally opposed to that kind of living. And the thing is, it isn't it isn't necessary. There are alternatives to it. This place, this country is awash with money. Despite what people say, it's awash with money, and particularly if we get the people that are dodging paying their taxes, to pay their taxes in this country, we can feed everybody in Britain. So that's what a solidarity is all about. We're for, as Bill Mair keeps saying, we're for making the rich poorer and the poor richer. So without further ado, I'll introduce your first speaker, who's the lead candidate for Mid-Scotland and Fife. I hope you're going to vote for him on your second vote, Bill Mair.
Hi guys, thanks for coming out tonight, and I was very impressed that most of you were actually here significantly early, way before 7 o'clock. That's not my experience at all, so hopefully that's enthusiasm on your behalf. Could I just start off with a question? I'm just interested to know how people found out about the event tonight. So we put leaflets through hundreds of doors. Is that how you found out? Is that how you Facebook? Anyone get a leaflet through the door?
No.
So some of you did. Is that how you?
No. I was going to tell you where I saw it advertised on film.
We've done film and press. See, this may actually save us an awful lot of shoe leather and time, because I'm not kidding. We put hundreds of those things out. Pretty much every house in Abbeyview, up and down Nip Avenue, goodness knows where. Is anyone from the local area, the Abbeyview area? You should have had one through your door. You must have been on the streets and missed out. Jock had the map, so I blame him. Right, now we know there's 2 people here came as a result of leaflets through the door. That's it. So brilliant. Right, so as Jock says, guys, my name is Bill Mair. I'm the lead candidate for Mid-Scotland and Fife for Solidarity. So Mid-Scotland and Fife it's Fife, Perth, Stirling, Blackmine, it's a massive area. Jock's also a candidate, Colin's a candidate, Angela, and there's a couple more candidates, both women who couldn't make it tonight, Louise and Linda, brain freeze, Louise and Linda. So there's 6 of us. Now, I think when Tommy gets here, Tommy intends to talk through the voting system and get into the details of the voting system, so I'm not going to do that. It's bad enough trying to get your head around it once without getting your head around it twice. As Tommy says, with a socialist party, we exist to make the rich poorer and the poor richer. And I don't change my message wherever I speak. A couple of nights ago, last Thursday, I was up in Strathmiglo, up in North East Fife. And that's quite a privileged area. There's pretty wealthy people up there. And I gave them the same message I'm going to give you, and I explained to them I don't change my message like, the triangulation that Labour, the SNP, and the Liberal Democrats do. They think, well, we'll have a policy that appeals to the middle classes, or we'll have a policy that appeals to the rich. Oh, but we don't want to alienate a working class base, we'll have a policy that appeals to them, with the result that they end up being all things to all men. But if you're all things to all men in politics, you're nothing. Because your policies cancel each other out, and nobody knows what you stand for. And nobody in their right minds should vote for you unless you've got a clear, consistent set of policies. So I've said before, solidarity stands for the working class. We stand for all the people that capitalism has left behind. That's the working class, it's people with disabilities, it's refugees, it's migrants, it's the unemployed. Everyone that capitalism has left behind, that's what we're about. Now here's the thing, here's the way capitalism works. Capitalism can only work if you've got a few rich people at the top of their pyramid scheme, and then a whole lot of poor people at the bottom of the pyramid scheme. Otherwise the system wouldn't work. You need, I don't know how many poor people do you need for every rich person. Is it 1,000, is it 2,000, is it 5,000? But from the widow's mite, from all the little pennies that we throw away in taxation, and all the little pennies that we throw away buying the stuff that the rich man sells, there's enough of us, even though we've not got much money, there's enough of us, by pure force of numbers, we make the rich rich. So here's me right out in the wee 2-bedroom flat in Dyser. It's a band A flat. I was up in Perth talking a couple of weeks ago, a few more weeks ago than that. I was up in Perth talking. And what's her name? Anne Glow, Ryan Suter's sister. She lives in Kinfauns Castle up there. It's a castle. It's not even a mansion, it's a castle. So she pays the highest council tax there is, that's band H. She will pay, if she's on band H and I'm on band A, 3 times more tax than I pay, only 3 times. But her income is thousands of times what my income is. Thousands of times. Hi there.
Hi there.
Every time someone opens the door, I think it's Tommy Sheridan because he's running late. So that's why everyone turned around and looked at you there. You're very welcome. Very welcome. So the council tax is just one example. It's one example of regressive, unfair taxation. And it's one example of how the rich are so rich and why the poor are so poor. Because the rich are getting taxed only 3 times what we're getting taxed on band A in the council tax. So in 2006, Tommy put together a proposal. Hi guys. Hi. Tommy put together a proposal to scrap the council tax in place of the Scottish service tax. The council tax is completely scrapped. Replaced with the Scottish service tax, and the Scottish service tax is not based on the value of your house, it's based on your income. Now this is a beautiful example. Is that the one there? Yes it is. Make the rich poorer and the poor richer. This is a beautiful example of what the quote on that poster there. The Scottish service tax in 2006, I'm going to update the figures to 2016, so it's 10 years ago. All your income up to £14,400 is exempt, you pay nothing. If you make £14,400, instead of council tax of £750 when you band A flat, you pay nothing. Your income between £14,400 and £42,000 is taxed at 4.5%, but only the income above £14,500. So if you're on £16,500, you're going to pay 4.5% of £2,000. Who's got the calculator? 80. £80. That's exactly right, £80. But as it goes up, you get from one band when you've got 14,000 to 42, then it goes up to the next band and you've got a higher percentage, and then it goes up to the next band and you've got a higher percentage. By the time it gets to £150,000, if you're making over £150,000, you're getting taxed at 20% of all your money over £150,000. Well, here's the good news. With the Scottish service tax, which is still on the table and is still one of our policies, we simply updated the figures. With the Scottish service tax, the poor and the pensioners pay nothing. Most people pay less than what you're paying now. A few people pay more. But boy oh boy, those few people that pay more, they pay a lot more. They pay shitloads more. And I've got no sympathy for them, because these people for years have been paying far too little, they've been underpaying. Guys, I'm going to pause here to welcome co-convener Tommy Sheridan. And we'll give a round of applause. The idea was probably that Jock and I would start off anyway, so we're going to start off while getting on your way here. Oh, fantastic. So I was saying, the poor pay nothing. Most people pay less. Probably everybody in the room is going to pay less than they pay now for your council tax and Scottish service tax. The rich are going to pay more. But here's the really good bit. In 2006, Tommy's paper, which was not on the back of a fact packet, Tommy's Scottish service tax private members bill was run through Scottish Parliament committees, local government transport committees. It was run through the Scottish Parliament Information Centre. So these are official figures, rubber stamped as authentic. At that time, the Scottish Parliament officials, the civil servants, said this tax proposal will raise £505 million more than the existing council tax. £505 million more by taxing the poor less and the rich more. Isn't that beautiful? But then you run that £505 million through an inflation check, because it's 10 years ago, right? Guess what? £505 million then is £735 million now. Now we've got that bill, we've got that proposal on our manifesto that if we're elected, we will introduce this bill again to the Scottish Parliament. Now at the moment, you know, in 5 council, they're closing libraries, and by the way, they'll tell you it's 5 cultural trusts that run the libraries, yada yada yada. It's an arm's length trust, it's part of the council I used to work for, okay? So in 5 council, they're closing libraries. They're closing 16 out of 52 libraries that they've got in 5 because of cuts. They're cutting home care, they're cutting classroom assistants, they're making cuts, and there's job losses across the entire council, okay? Because of the shortfall of council funding. The shortfall for every single council added together across Scotland, you have 32 local authorities, the shortfall for all those local authorities added together adds up to a total of £350 million. 350 million. Now I'm bamboozling you, I should have had a flip chart here with the numbers on because I'm banging numbers out here. The shortfall is £350 million for all the councils across Scotland. The Scottish service tax would raise £735 million more, would wipe out that shortfall twice over. So you can see, we wouldn't be closing libraries, we'd be building libraries, we wouldn't be sacking people, we'd be recruiting people, we'd be improving services. And when you cut council services, it's always the poor and the working class who suffer most, always. It always is. Now, we're not out to attack the SNP or destroy the SNP. In fact, we say, look, we're for independence. If you ask you to vote SNP or a pro-independence party in your first vote, solidarity in your second. But again, just to give you another comparison, another scale of comparison here. Nicola Sturgeon, or the SNP's current proposals, she's tinkering around the edges with council tax and she's tinkering around the edges with income tax. By her own admission, by her own figures, she says that by tinkering around council tax and income tax, she will raise an extra £170 million. Now guys, do you remember what I told you the figure was, what the shortfall is? It's 350 million. So her plan to address the shortfall of 350 million is to come up with a plan to make 170. Why is that? I'll tell you why that is. The difference between what we do and what the big parties do, the SNP, Labour, Conservatives, Lib Dems, the difference between what they do and what we do is they are funded by big corporations, big business. The SNP is funded by Brian Souter. Brian Souter put his hand in his pocket and came out with £1 million in 2000, whatever it was, when we wanted to repeal Section 26 of the Local Government Act in Scotland here. This was the local government that parted Thatcher out legislation that made it illegal to talk about homosexual relationships in schools. So you couldn't have a story about a daddy or a mummy and a mummy. You always had to be heterosexual relationships. It was actually illegal for a teacher to, they called it promote homosexuality. It was a disgusting piece of legislation. It was illegal in this country. And all the right-minded people in Scotland and the socialists had a campaign to repeal this act. Brian Souter put his money with his hand in his pocket and £1 million to try to retain this legislation. Now what's that got to do with what I just said? Brian Souter is one of the biggest donors to the SNP. So when the SNP come along and they say, right, we need to sort this problem, and I believe they're well-meaning people, but when they come along and they want to sort the problem of the poor being too poor and the rich being too rich, and try to find ways to make the poor not so poor, try to find ways to help the working class, the hands are tied behind their back. Because if they come out with anything as radical and sensible and effective as our Scottish service tax, they're going to get pelters from their rich donors. The rich donors are not going to like this. It's not just big corporations to the SNP and the other parties, and all the other parties. It's rich people. And solidarity doesn't take a single penny from millionaires. We don't take a single penny from the big parties. With the result that we're a small party, but also with the result that our policies are designed specifically with one aim in mind, that I said right at the very beginning. We are all about helping those people that capitalism has left behind, and we don't need to pander to the rich. Now guys, I went off on a bit of a rant there because I got carried away, and I've got a script here which I've not even touched on. Never mind. Well, that bit about refugees, and camp. I should have added refugees in there, there we are. should have started off by telling you a little bit about myself, because I'm the lead candidate. I'm kind of the candidate in Solidarity. If we get one MSP, it's me. If we get two MSPs in this election, it's me and Jock. If we get three, it's me and Jock and Louise, who's not here tonight. And actually, I think you're the third one, actually. Sorry, who's been promoted. If we get four, it's me, Jock, you, then Louise, and Colin's in the mix somewhere. But anyway, if we get one candidate, you get me. So you should know a bit about me. 2 or 3 years ago, I've never been a political party candidate before. I've never been active in a political party until now. But I've been very busy with campaigning for various things, and I've jotted down some here. I'm a director and co-founder of Fray 5, that's the racial equalities agency. I'm a co-founder of the Scottish Palestine Solidarity Campaign, Fife branch. And I'm active with the Sheku Bayo campaign for justice to Sheku Bayo, the young man, black man who lost his life in the streets of Piccoli in police custody. And by the way, when you read in the newspaper that Sheku Bayo lost his life in police custody, he lost his life lying face down in a pavement with a 24-stone police officer on top of him and 6 others on top of that. So there's no mystery about how that young man died. His crime, as far as we can see, appears to be that he was black and he was walking around in the early hours of the morning without explanation. So that's why I'm involved in the Sheku Bayo campaign. Plus, I used to work with his brother-in-law at Fray 5, the racial equalities organisation. I'm involved in Fife Stop the War, the anti-bedroom tax campaign, the People's Assembly Fife, Refuge Fife, which is an organisation to help refugees here and in Europe, Frack Off Fife, and some other things. So 2 or 3 years ago, I'm involved in all this stuff. That gives you an idea of the stuff I've been involved in 2 or 3 years ago. I'm looking around and I want to get involved in politics, and Solidarity is the perfect fit for me. All of these issues here, Solidarity supports me in supporting them. There's a complete fit, there's no dissonance. There's none of these campaigns that Solidarity doesn't support, because Solidarity is all for people who are disadvantaged, people who have been shafted by capitalism. Now, I mentioned the SNP, and I'm going to mention the SNP again. This is not an SNP bashing night, this is to try and give some kind of comparison. In terms of all the big parties that are out there, I would say definitively, without a shadow of doubt, SNP is the least bad, right? But they're still, they're going halfway, they're going in the right direction, but they're stopping halfway, because that's where they should be, up there with the dawn. They're only getting this far. And the reason they're only able to go halfway is because, like any big party, mainstream party, we're in the pockets of big corporations. So a couple of examples. In the manifesto, which I skimmed at today, I skimmed a look at, they're promising to raise the allowance paid to carers, which is currently £62.10 a week. If you're a full-time carer looking after someone, it's £62.10 a week. They're going to raise it, and that's good news. They're going to raise it to the same level as job seekers allowance. And GSA is not a lucrative living, friends. It's £73.10 a week, if you're lucky. Now, what we want is living benefits and a living wage. When we say a living wage, we say £10 an hour. So if you're a full-time carer, or if you're on some kind of benefit, whether it's JSA or ESA, whatever it is, you should have a minimum of the living wage. The reason that people don't work is not because people don't want to work. This myth that you read in the Daily Mail, none of you look like you read the Daily Mail, but I hope you don't. But this myth that you read in the Daily Mail and other red talks about workshire scroungers. All of these workshire scroungers are sitting at home smoking dope, drinking beer, watching Sky TV all day and don't want a job. And these disabled people, they're only pretending. They must be pretending because they go to an actual, real, proper medical doctor, their GP, the GP surgeon, the GP says, you're signed off work. You can't work because of whatever reason, because of a real medical problem. This guy's done 6 years of training, plus goodness knows how many years as a junior doctor. He's decided that let's say if I'm signed off, I'm not fit to work. I get sent off to some quack like Atos or Atos, and I get examined either by a doctor who's been struck off the medical register, or someone who's not even a medical doctor. He's not even a doctor. And that person, Atos, then says, I am fit to work, despite the fact that an actual real doctor says that I'm not. So there's your myth. And your myth, the early one about workshire scroungers sitting at home on the dole, they don't want a job. You go back to Dunfermline Press a few years ago when Amazon opened up, the biggest distribution centre in Scotland. Amazon opened up. or a couple of years before that when we thought Hyundai was coming here, do you remember? And then Motorola, and then I think it was demolished it or something. Every time this news comes out and start looking for work, you'll read in the paper, 100 people applying for every job, 100 people. Amazon, they're coming out the woodwork. People are desperate to work. So never, ever believe, just one time, I swear this one time tonight, we're being filmed by the way, never believe the bullshit about lazy scroungers. Maybe there are some people who are lazy, but 100 people for every job? Are you kidding me? That's how lazy people are in Dunfermline and Fife and the surrounding area. And by the way, these aren't big gold-plated jobs like you get if you're an NSP and get driven around in a car and get your expenses and your lunch served to you on a silver plate. This is minimum wage. 100 people for every job for minimum wage. People are desperate to work. Okay? And that's why we say, yes, living benefits. Don't demonise people with disabilities. Don't demonise people who are sick. Don't demonise those people who can't get a job. Here's the other side of it, the unemployment coin. Right? Here's the other reason why there's hundreds of people sitting, not working, for all the people that are. There's a Zen thing, friends. To catch a fish, think like a fish. So to understand a capitalist, think like a capitalist for a few minutes. Think like a fat, greedy capitalist who wants all your money, and you're not giving him enough, and you're not able to afford to give me some more money, and you as well. I need more money, and no matter how much you give me, I need more like a heroin addict. It doesn't matter how much heroin, I still need more. Now this is how you think as a capitalist, okay? I lost my train of thought, I've got it back. Right, you're a capitalist. You want to employ 100 people in your factory. You're Eric, he's a Google guy, I can't remember what the Amazon guy's called, but you're Mr. Amazon, you're the chief executive of Amazon, or you're the bloke in charge of the Amazon distribution factory here in Dunfermline, right? You're thinking, what I need, right? I like it when we apply for jobs with 100 people applying for every job. You know why? Because nobody's whinging about, could I not maybe get a living wage? Nobody's whinging about, well, could I maybe get a pay rise? Nobody's whinging about, could I maybe get Sunday off because I've been working 14 days on the trot because I've been forced to sign out the European Working Time Directive. Nobody's whinging about that because everyone's desperate for a job. And the gaffer will turn around and will say the time-worn phrase, you've all heard it, anyone who's been in a job of work, you've all heard it. There's 100 people outside that door who'll do that job if you don't want it, Pat. You don't like it, on your bike. And they're absolutely perfectly right. If you've got an army of unemployed people gagging for work, you can treat your workers like rats, you can treat them like dogs, you can treat them like scum, and you can drive down the cost of their labour. We've seen this with the people that come across from the Eastern Accession states, Eastern Europe, Bulgaria, Poland, Romania. And what happens is they get into agricultural jobs and they end up getting exploited because they will work for less than minimum wage. Even though it's illegal, they'll work for less than minimum wage. They'll take what they can get because they're desperate. So the ruling classes need us to be desperate for work. So they need an army of unemployed. So the ruling classes, a system of capitalism, creates an army of unemployed because it suits the ruling classes. Then the ruling classes write the Daily Mail and they tell us that these people are scroungers and sponges and that they're sucking the life out of us. They're getting confused with the capitalists and the ruling classes. That's who's sucking all the life from us. Another wee story about Amazon, and you probably already know this, but we're almost right next door to it, so I can't resist it. I put the Freedom of Information request to the Scottish Government not so long ago. I said, how much public money did we pay to entice Amazon to come here? Because the way the system works is that whenever a council or local authority wants an employer to come in, they give them a golden handshake, a golden invitation. And the idea is that if we build the factory, the distribution centre, free of charge and gratis for these guys, for Amazon, they'll come and they'll set up and then people will get jobs. And it'll cost us money. But in the long run, it's okay because we'll get the money back via corporation tax and via income tax, right? Sounds like a plan, yeah? So, the Scottish Government, they did just that. The Scottish Government and Fife Council they went down the back of the government sofa and they came up with some money, and I'll tell you the figure at the end. If I don't tell you the figure, remind me. Don't let me forget. They've got all the money they had together and they offered it to Amazon and said, please, could you come to Fife? This is all the money that we've got if you come to Fife and make these hundreds of jobs. And Amazon said, oh well, okay then, we'll come to Fife, it's okay then. We'll come to 5. Mind and build a distribution centre right next to A92, the M90 actually, the M90. And mind and make sure there's nice roads and roundabouts. And mind and make sure that all the workforce are educated at the expense of the state. And mind and make sure that there's street lights and everything's all paid for taxation. Mind and make sure that's all there as well. And then we'll come to 5. So they came and they employed people. Maybe some of you guys work for Amazon, or maybe you work for one of them, because they tend to work through agencies. You don't work for Amazon, you work for an agency. Hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people. And so the Scottish Government and 5 council rubbed their hands together. This is great. There's hundreds of people got jobs, now we're going to start seeing income tax receipts coming in. Bit of a problem there, guys. Pretty much everybody's on minimum wage, and actually some of those people, through a mechanism that I do not understand, are on less than minimum wage. We ain't getting any income tax from these guys, because they're being screwed so hard, they can't afford to pay tax, they don't pay tax. But it's worse than that. Not only do the people at Amazon not pay tax, they're paid so little that we need to subsidise their wages through working tax credits. And the Scottish Government and the British Government is subsidising Amazon. Let me be clear, we're not subsidising the workers. We're subsidising Amazon to employ people on money that's not enough to live on, which, by the way, is slavery. We, the government, whether it's the British government or the Scottish government, we, the government, and it's our money, it doesn't matter what government, it's our money that's subsidising it, our pockets that's subsidising working tax credits for these people on slave labour. So there's plan 1 out the window. Not only are we not getting any of that money back through income tax, but we're still subsidising them. Never mind corporation tax, because Amazon, they make squillions. Surely we'll get some crumbs from the master's table in corporation tax to help us pay back the money that we paid, surely. Unfortunately not. Because they route their money through Luxembourg, another European Union country. We're in the European Union. They route the money through Luxembourg, and they pay nothing in tax. We can go whistle for our tax. We pay nothing. So, here's a figure I didn't forget. The bribe that we paid to allow Amazon to come here and treat 5 people like slaves and take our money from us and refuse to give us anything back and benefit from the everyone that goes in there has had a free state education, to benefit from the education and healthcare, everything that the state provides. The parasites that they are. The amount that we paid, £1.8 million we paid for the benefit of being screwed over by Amazon. And then a few weeks ago, what's his name? George Osborne, a smug git. George Osborne, he faced up to Google in the UK. Google and Amazon, same sort of thing, right? In the sense that they don't pay tax. He faced up to Google, and he said, I say, this is no good at all. I demand that you pay your tax. That's quite good, isn't it? I like that accent. An agent will pick me up on this, and I'll get a job. I say you have to pay your tax. So he fronted up to the chief executive of Google in Britain and demanded that Google pay their tax. And he came out of that meeting feeling quite smug and proud of himself. He puffed his chest up and he thought that I've done a good thing today. And he announced with great fanfare the figure. I have forced Google to pay £130 million in tax. Now friends, if any one of us in here got 130 million, even if we had to share it amongst ourselves as good socialists do, we'd be quite pleased with 130 million pounds. And it sounds like a lot of money. But friends, it isn't. 130 million pounds is just over the amount of tax that Google should pay for 1 month. 1 month. In fact, my arithmetic might be wrong. In fact, it is. No, it's right. It's just over 1 month. It is. It's 1 month because they should be paying in the region of £1 billion a year. And Google have been trading in this country more than 1 year. So their tax bill is several billion. And what they paid was 130 million. So if you had a £100 note there, indicative of what they pay, of what they owe, and a 10 pence piece indicative of what they actually paid, that's what you're looking at. And why is this? It takes me right round in a big fat circle. It takes me right round to what I was saying earlier on. The party that's going in there, the Conservative Party is going in there and trying to intimidate Google and tell them they have to pay their tax. It's a Conservative Party, and guess what? Yet another party that takes donations from big corporations. So if this is the chief executive of Google here, and I am David Cameron or was it David Cameron, George Osborne, sorry, or even Jeremy Corbyn for that matter, or whoever it is that's in charge of the Democrats, or Nicola Sturgeon, if I'm the leader